Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Crime drama this hour, an episode of the FBI in Peace and War. This episode of the program was originally broadcast March 3rd, 1957, and a couple of con men bring one con man out of retirement.
The FBI in Peace and War. Another great story based on Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War. Drama, thrills, action. Tonight's story, Out of Retirement.
Here are the certificates, Mr. Bentley.
I'll write you a bank draft immediately.
Oh, there's no rush.
It was indeed very kind of you, Mr. Helton, to put me on to this stock.
My pleasure, sir.
I certainly was fortunate meeting you downstairs at the bar that day.
Well,
If this stock goes as high as you say it will, I'm eternally indebted to you.
you don't owe me a thing, sir. And that stock will move up by leaps and bounds after the first of the month.
When the announcement is made that oil has been struck.
Yeah, that's right. According to inside information, the yield is going to be record-breaking. And you're in on the ground floor. Below the ground floor, shall we say. Huh?
Mr. Helton.
Yeah.
Where did you have these certificates printed?
What?
These stock certificates, who printed them?
Oh, but...
And how much did they cost you?
I'm afraid I don't follow you, Mr. Bentley.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
If you have something on your mind, come out and say it, sir.
I will. These certificates aren't worth the paper they're printed on.
That's a serious accusation.
I realize that.
I don't think I like what I'm hearing.
I shouldn't imagine you would, Mr. Helton. I know quite a bit about stock deals such as yours. I'm very familiar with this sort of swindle.
Now, look,
As
sir.
a matter of fact, I fancy myself an expert. The moment you approached me with the proposition that first day down at the bar, I had an idea of what you were up to, young man.
Wait, now, hold it. Don't call the police yet. Let me explain, huh?
The bar, please.
Bar?
Yeah, this is Mr. Bentley in 907. Will you please send up some drinks? One bourbon old-fashioned and the usual, Mr. Helton, scotch and soda.
Huh?
And a scotch and soda, please. Thank you. Now, sit down, young man. Relax. The drinks will be up presently. You look as though you certainly could use one. Are you feeling ill?
I don't know.
Certainly confused, at any rate.
You can say that again.
You want to know what this is all about?
Yeah.
Why I didn't call the police?
Yeah.
Why I'm taking this in such a calm, easy manner?
Yeah.
My reasons are both intellectual and emotional. Also very personal, I might add.
Now, will you please get to the point?
The main point, young man, is that you're a bungler, a crass amateur. I saw through you immediately.
Oh, but Mr.
If I've injured your professional pride, I'm sorry, but I must speak the truth. Another thing, these certificates are of the cheapest grade of paper, and the printing frightfully slipshod. It's apparent you don't even have the courage of your own swindler's convictions.
Why are you telling me all this?
I said I had a personal interest, young man.
Well, that doesn't tell me anything yet.
Does the title The Purple Duke mean anything to you?
Purple Duke.
No, I suppose it doesn't.
Purple Duke. Hey, wait. Sure. I've heard of him. He was the head man in this business in the old days. He was the smoothest, slickest operator of them all.
Not a clumsy bungler like you, young fellow. The Purple Duke. There was a truly finished confidence man.
How come you know so much about him?
Well, we were on the most intimate terms, the Duke and I.
Friends?
Closer than that. As a matter of fact, I am the Purple Duke.
What?
That's right.
Hey, you're kidding.
I have a large scrapbook to prove the fact. All my notices since my first large-scale operation.
Wow. I didn't expect anything like this. I thought the Purple Duke... you gave up the business years ago.
I did. Oh, the sunset of life is peaceful and quiet. Yet I long for the activity of times gone by, the hooking of the sucker, the lightning-like getaway, the exhilarating byplay with the law.
Not to mention the monetary return, huh?
In my retirement, I'm not without the simple comforts of life.
Simple. I understand you got out of the business with a barrel full.
It's not what you get away with, young man.
Call me Stan, please, Mr. Bentley.
It's not what you get away with, Stan. It's the amount you can keep. Oh, that's the waiter with our drinks. Answer it, will you? And then we'll continue this chat. It's obvious you're badly in need of some good, old-fashioned advice.
By the spring of 1954, Philip Bentley, better known as the Purple Duke, had long disappeared from the criminal scene after serving a final prison sentence. His successful career, spanning 3 decades, had enabled him to retire to a life of peace and ease. However, many took up where Bentley left off. One of these, Stanley Helton, alias Stanley Hill, was high on our most wanted list. The crossing of these 2 men's paths was to be part of the chain of events which finally led Helton into our hands.
I tell you, Cora, I got Bentley eating right out of my hand.
Don't be too sure.
Oh, trouble with you, baby. You're a real worrywart.
Just remember, Stanley wasn't born yesterday. He knows this business inside out.
Yeah, but like I always say, it takes an operator to make a sucker out of another operator.
Oh, I don't know.
Baby, will you stop that? He fell in line just the way I said he would, didn't he? I made him take a fatherly interest in me, didn't I? I made him think I was a jerk, didn't I? A clumsy, bumbling amateur. Well, didn't I?
Yes, Stan, only...
Only what?
Well, getting him to give you advice is one thing, but taking him over the hurdles is another. After all, no matter what you say he was, the Purple Duke.
And that's just where I'm going to get him, baby, on his pride, on his big, fat ego.
But you told me he said he's finished in this business, staying in retirement.
Now, don't you worry your pretty little head about that. You just keep practicing the part you're going to play. Like I said, I'll get to him through his ego. Why, he's worse than a prima donna. I'll drag him out of retirement for one final farewell appearance and a big payoff for us. Sure, the Purple Duke. Is his face going to be red?
On the morning of May 3rd, 1954, Agent Reynolds came into my office with a tracer from the Philadelphia police.
This should interest you, Steve. The victim's name is Arthur Hammond, a wealthy builder.
What interested me even more was the fact that Hammond had been taken over by a man named Hill, who was identified as Stanley Helton. It was a simple oil stock swindle.
It may be a simple matter to you gentlemen of the FBI, but being taken over for $10,000 is anything but simple to me.
Of course, we regret your loss, Mr. Hammond.
I'm not asking for regrets. I want restitution.
Well, that's out of our hands.
Well, someone should pay for this.
Helton will, when we catch up with him.
You mean he'll serve time?
Uh-huh.
What good will that do me if he's already spent the money?
What good? It'll spare any future victim.
I'm talking about me. Let the others look out for themselves.
You didn't seem to look after yourself very well, Mr. Hammond. For your $10,000, all you have to show are these worthless stock certificates.
Well,
So you're in no position to give advice.
I guess you're right, Mr. Stevens. The whole thing's been so galling to me, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
You bought the stock certificates when, Mr. Hammond?
The 5th of April.
And you didn't realize you were duped until yesterday.
When I spoke to my broker.
That's the first time you mentioned the deal to your broker?
Yes. Hill advised me to keep it on the QT, since the stock wasn't supposed to be listed on the exchange until June.
When it wasn't listed at all?
I consulted my broker.
Do you know where Hill stayed here in Philadelphia?
The Standish Hotel. I met him there first, in the bar, but don't expect to find him there still.
Knowing his method of operation, we don't.
I checked. He moved out the same day I gave him the money. No forwarding address.
Naturally.
And I'm left holding the bag with these worthless certificates.
Well, perhaps not so worthless.
What?
To us. It's just possible that Helton's own stock may sell him short.
Personally, Stan, stock deals were never my favorite operation. I found them deadly dull.
The take wasn't dull.
Money isn't everything. Man does not live by bread alone. It offends me to see the way things are done these days.
You mean cut and dried?
No imagination, no flair, just cold-hearted business. It's a disgrace to my profession.
Yeah, I guess it does upset you.
It makes me boiling mad.
Yeah. If you were back in business, you'd show him a thing or two, huh?
Yes, I would. But my time is past. I'm an old man.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. If anybody could make a sensational comeback, it's you, Mr. Bentley.
That's kind of you, Stan.
That's not the only reason I'm saying it.
Oh?
Now, you see, well, it's no use trying to kid you, so I'm being honest. I've been having tough going lately.
No wonder the way you've been operating.
Well, that's the point. I need help, and you're the man who can give it to me. Now, I'm willing to take any kind of a split you say. You said it.
But, Stan, I'm out of the business for good.
If we could just pull your family heirloom deal once, just once, so I could get the hang of it.
But I don't need the money.
Now, you told me the heirloom deal was your favorite operation.
Yes.
Yeah, you told me how you got such a boot out of it.
It does have delicacy and finesse. It took me years to develop that operation to perfection, as I said.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Now, I couldn't expect myself to pull it off right the first time. I need you to take me through the paces, you see, and... Well, they say the best way to teach is to do.
That's a fact.
Now, you said yourself you still ache for activity. The hook and the sucker, the lightning-like getaway, the exhilarating byplay with the law.
Ah, yes, those were the days.
Now, what do you say?
I don't know. It's been so long. Out of touch for so many years.
Oh, it'll come back to you in a snap.
Do I dare?
Dare? The Purple Duke? Well...
All right, Stan. But just this once. Just one final appearance, and then back to retirement.
Back to out of retirement in just a moment.
So, can he stay retired, or will the thrill of the chase bring him back into the whole thing again? From March 3rd, 1957, the FBI in Peace and War on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now, while the Equitable Life Assurance Society program, This Is Your FBI, lasted, and I shouldn't say lasted long, did not last as long as this show. This Is Your FBI was on ABC from April of 1945 to January of 1953, 409 shows, and had the endorsement of J. Edgar Hoover. The show, The FBI in Peace and War, was on the air from November of 1944 to September of 1958. Had a number of participating sponsors on the show, and did not have the endorsement of the FBI. The show lasted longer, and because of CBS's greater pull, it had better ratings. What can I say? In fact, in 1955, it was the 8th most popular show on the air, trailing, Jack Benny, Amos and Andy, People Are Funny, Our Miss Brooks, the Lux Radio Theater, and My Little Margie, and Dragnet. And behind that, in 9th and 10th place, was Bergen and McCarthy and Groucho Marx. So there you go. The show was strong, and the show lasted, I think, as long as it really could, because the time was running out on shows like This Is Your, the FBI in Peace and War. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of the FBI in Peace and War, March 9th, 1957.
Act 2 of tonight's story, Out of Retirement.
Agent Reynolds and I returned to Washington with the phony stock certificates, where they were sent to the Bureau's lab for analysis to determine the manufacturer of the ink and paper. Meanwhile, Stan Helton continued his latest pursuit. Cheating a cheater.
Well, Cora, how do you like the setup?
It's all right.
All right. The best suite in the best hotel in L.A., setting me back $60 a day, and you say it's all right.
I was just thinking, Stan, maybe you're throwing your money away.
I told you, baby, we've really got to impress Bentley. He's got to believe you're a genuine society dame. Well, come on, let's have a drink. This calls for a celebration.
Don't count your diamonds before they're in your pocket.
Oh, the voice of doom.
Just being practical.
Since when were you practical?
Since you started this thing with Bentley.
He's no different than any other sucker, only maybe easier.
Yeah, you say.
I know.
Don't be too sure.
I know everything about him from A to Z.
Listen, there's nothing to stop him from pulling a switch.
Not him, baby. He's as old-fashioned as a Model T. All his operations were straight down the line. He wouldn't know how to switch in midstream if his life depended on it.
Well, I just hope you're right, Stan.
You can make book on it. Well, come on, let's have that drink.
You're sure about the young lady, Stan? You're sure she's susceptible?
Oh, believe me, Mr. Bentley, you can make book on it. Cora Willis throws money around at that hotel like it's going out of style.
You've mentioned me to Miss Willis?
Uh-huh. And she can't wait till she meets you.
Well, I have exciting news for you, Stan. I'm all set.
The brooch?
Mm-hmm. Here it is.
Looks like the real thing.
Does it?
Yeah, I'll say. Looks like the $10,000 it's supposed to be worth.
It is worth $10,000.
What?
Every penny of it. This brooch is the real thing.
But, Mr.
However, this brooch is imitation. But it would take an expert to tell them apart.
I don't get it.
One of my trade secrets, and I might add the secret of my unique business success, sir.
Maybe I'm dumb, but I don't follow. You spent $10,000 on that brooch there?
Yes.
Well, why? Why bother?
To ensure the transaction, to build confidence. And despite the sucker's feeling, I always insisted he first go off on his own and have a jeweler of his own choosing appraise the brooch.
Oh, I see. Then you pull the switch after.
Exactly. Thus ensuring myself the time to make a getaway before the rude awakening.
One thing bothers me, sir.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Well, letting the sucker have the brooch for appraisal. You never can be too sure of people. Sometimes...
Stan, my boy, it may be old-fashioned of me, but I should hate to live in a world where I could not trust my fellow man.
After the lab established the make and grade of the paper and ink and the phony stock certificates, the manufacturers were asked to supply us with a list of their customers. One particular user, a customer on both lists, was of keen interest to us.
Belmont Printing Company, New York City, owned and operated by Carl Belmont.
The name Carl Belmont was familiar to us. He had some years previous been engaged in engraving $5 bill plates without the government's permission. After serving time, he apparently abandoned this precarious livelihood. Agent Reynolds and I flew to New York to question Belmont.
Yes, gentlemen. What can I do for you?
You're Carl Belmont?
That's right. Best printer and engraver in town. Ask any of my customers.
The one we want to ask, we can't quite locate.
Huh?
But we have a sample of the job you did for him.
You mean that?
This stock certificate.
Oh, police.
FBI.
Now, look, I didn't do anything.
You're not being accused. Yet.
Well, what do you want from me?
First, an admission that you printed and engraved this.
Well, I do a lot of engraving and printing. Give me time to look it over, will you? I can't remember every job I do.
Does the name Stan Helton help refresh your memory?
Who? Stan who?
Helton. Come on, Belmont.
Oh, Helton. Oh, yes. Yeah, I remember now. I did do this job for somebody named Helton.
What else do you remember?
Well, what else is to remember? A customer comes in, orders a job, picks it up when it's finished, pays, and leaves. What's else to remember?
Well, the 5 years you spent in prison, for example.
Yeah, that I'm trying to forget.
Then suppose you tell us where Helton is now.
Well, how would I know? He was just another customer.
Just another customer.
Positively. Just happened to walk in off the street one day.
Just happened to walk in.
You don't believe me?
Should we?
You think I'd lie to the FBI?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Los Angeles. He was there the last time I heard from him.
Which was when?
2 weeks ago. He had me ship him out a dozen of these certificates.
Shipped to him where?
He's got an apartment. I have the address right here in the book. 735 El Rancho Drive. Now, look, you won't tell Stan I told you,
The
will you?
subject won't come up. He'll have more to worry about than you.
Another glass of sherry, Mr. Bentley?
Oh, thank you. But no, Miss Willis. You've already given an old man enough of your time and hospitality.
The pleasure's been all mine. It was so interesting hearing stories of your family, particularly the one about this brooch.
Yes, it meant a great deal to my father.
Oh, I feel just dreadful that you're forced to sell it.
Believe me, it's great comfort knowing it'll be in such appreciative hands. It isn't often that one finds a young woman so sensitive to the finer emotions of life.
It's just a shame the things people must do for money.
Isn't it? Well, I must be going. I'll see you tomorrow.
Mr. Bentley.
From March 3rd, 1957, the FBI in Peace and War here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll hear the conclusion along with an episode of Superman. But first, these important messages from your favorite radio station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of the FBI in Peace and War, out of retirement, March 3rd, 1957.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Mr. Bentley.
Yes, my dear?
I don't feel right about this brooch. I mean, having it appraised.
Oh, now, Miss Willis.
I really don't. Why, it's as if I didn't trust you.
Well, I know you do.
Well, then, please, let me give you a check right now.
Miss Willis, sentiment is one thing, business another. I insist upon your knowing the full value of that brooch.
But
I'm sorry, I'll have it no other way.
Very well, then, Mr. Bentley. Until tomorrow, then.
Until tomorrow.
Until never, huh, Cora?
How'd I do, Stan? Everything the way you wanted?
Perfect, right down the line. Now do you feel better about the deal?
Well, I don't know.
Well, we got the brooch, haven't we?
Yes.
And what's eating you now?
I guess you're right. I'm worried over nothing.
Sure.
I'll feel better, though, when we have the cash and we're on our way.
Okay, baby, okay. Get your things packed.
They already are.
All right. Just as soon as I cash in the brooch, I'll be back to my place to pick you up. Clara!
Yes.
We've been taken. This brooch is the phony one.
I know.
The jeweler said it's worth What did you say?
I know.
That it's a phony?
That it's a phony.
What are you trying to pull? You knew it all the time and you let me...
all the time.
Then when?
Since I came here to your place.
What are you talking about?
She's talking about me, Stan.
What?
I was waiting outside in the hall for you to return. She got here first and was kind enough to invite me in. Oh, you don't look well at all, my boy. Perhaps you should sit down.
You wouldn't listen to me. I felt it all along. I knew something was wrong.
You shut up.
After what's happened, you've no right to give me orders.
I told you to shut up.
I won't.
Come, children. There's no need for recrimination.
He had you all figured out. Knew you from A to Z.
Well, you really can't expect perfection from an amateur.
Amateur, you hear that? That's just what you are, a stupid, bungling amateur.
Dad, you were on to me all the time.
Not until we went into a joint business venture, my boy. Sentiment is one thing, business another.
So you did some checking on your own, huh?
I dare say. And believe me, Stan, what a bitter disappointment you were to me.
To you? What about me?
So help me if you don't close that trap of yours.
All right. You're not even worth wasting my breath on.
Yeah.
I'm getting out of here. Goodbye and good riddance.
Oh, pardon me.
What do you want?
We're looking for Stanley Helton.
Well, that's him right there.
Just a moment, please. We'd like you to remain.
Get your hands off me. Who do you think you are?
FBI.
What?
FBI?
Inside, please.
Now, look, I don't know what this is all about.
Sure you
but...
do, Hilton.
Now, wait a minute. I got something to say.
Let me give you one final word of advice, young man. When in a situation like this, never, but never argue with the FBI.
Well, Bentley, this is the last place we expected to find you. We really believed you'd quit the game for good.
Oh, I have. This isn't a business transaction at all. This gentleman was begging for a lesson, so I gave him a good one.
It was established that Cora Willis had been involved with Helton in previous swindles, for which they both stood trial. Helton received a sentence of 5 years, the Willis woman 3. All the events surrounding their attempt to cheat a former cheater were revealed at their trial. As for Philip Bentley, he continues to live a life of peace and quiet and has no desire at all to come out of retirement.
In tonight's story, Larry Haynes played the part of Stanley Helton. Bob Dryden was the Purple Duke. This radio dramatization for the FBI in Peace and War was written by Ed Adamson. These programs are produced and directed by Betty Mandeville. All names and characters used on the program are fictitious. Any similarity to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. This program is based upon Frederick L. Collins' copyrighted book, The FBI in Peace and War, and the broadcast does not imply endorsement, authorization, or approval by the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
March 3rd, 1957, the FBI in Peace and War here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Want to thank our friend Jay Lichtauer over at radio.macandmine.com, ABN, the Antioch Broadcasting Network, which runs a 24-hour stream of shows separated by type. He does a really good job of that. He supplied me with a series of episodes of Superman, and this episode goes back to March 3rd, 1941. It's the final episode of the Dragon's Teeth story.
Presenting the transcription feature, Superman! Up in the sky! Look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's Superman! And now, Superman, strange visitor from the planet Krypton, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men, and who fights a never-ending battle against crime and injustice, disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper. The adventure of the Dragon's Teeth, 10 jade pieces which are said to contain the secret of everlasting life, is rapidly coming to a close. In our last episode, we heard how the villainous Walter Hoffman, his henchman Ling, and their captive Lois Lane left a transcontinental train at Carson City instead of continuing on to San Francisco. With the 10 Dragon's Teeth in his possession, Hoffman intended to take a boat for China. But suspecting that the police would be waiting for him when he got off the train, he decided to continue the journey from Carson City by automobile. While crossing the prairie in the car, Hoffman and his 2 companions ran into a deadly dust storm. And then... But wait. Listen.
Hoffman, you can't do this to us. Ling may be dying. His skull may be fractured from the crack over the head you gave him with your gun.
You think it matters to me what happens to you, too? I have the 10 Dragon's Teeth. This car cannot carry the 3 of us through this infernal dust storm. So then you 2 must remain behind.
But that's murder. We're miles from nowhere, and this dust storm is getting worse. I can hardly see or breathe now.
That's too bad.
Hoffman, wait. Please listen to me, Hoffman.
I am sorry, Miss Lane. You must do the best you can. Goodbye.
Hoffman, come back! Come back, Hoffman, come back! A I've got to do something. This dust, it's blinding me, choking me. I must go on, but which way? Which...
Ancestors.
Hu Ling. He's coming too. Here, Hu Ling. I'll help you get up. Hu Ling.
You devil woman. Stay away from me.
Devil woman?
Yes, you devil woman. Ancestors, take her away from me. Take from me these million demons that bite and sting my face, blind my eyes, choke my throat.
He's out of his mind.
Ancestors,
Hoffman hitting him on the head with his gun.
Ancestors.
That's it.
Ancestors, have mercy. Save me. Save me.
Oh, he's stark raving mad. I've got to do something.
Ancestors, you stay from me. You devil woman.
Listen to me, Hu Ling. I'm not a devil woman. Your ancestors sent me to help you.
Help me?
Yes. I'm no devil. I'm a good spirit. Follow me, Hu Ling, and I'll save you. Will you follow?
Follow you?
Yes.
Yes. I follow. Where would you go? We go.
Yes. Where? Come, Hu Ling. Come with me.
On into the swirling death of the dust storm walked this strange pair. A beautiful young girl leading by the hand a half-crazed Chinese. The dust-laden wind wraps itself around them, swallows them up like some great monster as they disappear from sight. Meanwhile, at Carson City, Superman has assumed his disguise of Clark Kent and is trying to pick up the trail of Walter Hoffman.
The conductor said the three of them got off the train here at Carson City. That means Hoffman, Hu Ling, and Lois. But why should Hoffman decide to get off the train here instead of going on to San Francisco? He may have figured that the police would be waiting for him when he stepped off the train on the coast. Yet he's got to get to San Francisco if he wants to take a boat to China. But how? There's no airport here, so he'd have to use a car. That's it, a car. That means he and the others are on their way to the coast in it now. Guess I'd better get a little information from that policeman over there. Excuse me, officer.
Yes, young man, what can I do for you?
I wonder if you can help me, officer. I'm planning to drive from here to San Francisco starting this afternoon. What's the best way to go?
Well, there's only one way you can go, and you won't be taking it this afternoon.
I don't understand.
The only way of going is across the Great Prairie. You got to hit Mineville before you can pick up the main highway for the coast. And Mineville's on the other side of the prairie.
Oh, thanks very much. That's all I wanted to know.
Wait a minute, fella, wait a minute. Did you notice anything peculiar about the air in this town?
Air? No. Kind of windy and dusty, but...
Windy and dusty, eh? You see that huge black cloud hanging low over the horizon there?
Yes, looks like an approaching storm.
Brother, that's a sandstorm. Take my advice and stay here in Carson City till it blows over. Your life would be worth a plugged nickel if you tried to get through that.
Dangerous as all that, eh?
Mister, I've seen people brought in off the prairie after one of these dust storms. They weren't pleasant to look at. It isn't just the dust clogging your nose and throat so you can't breathe. It's... Well, those dust particles driven by a howling wind are just like knives. No, sir. Those people weren't pleasant to look at.
I see. Well, thanks for the tip. I guess I'll wait till it blows over.
Yeah, I would if I were you. It doesn't pay to take chances.
Thanks, officer. Hoffman took a chance unless I miss my guess. I better make for that alley where I won't be seen. Unless I'm mistaken, the chances are Lois will be needing my help right now.
Needing the help of Superman. Here's the alley. Now to change quickly. There we are. Now, up, up, and away!
Ling, keep hold of my hand. must go on.
No. 1,000 demons fill my eyes, my throat. 10,000 knives cut my face, my hands. You are devil woman.
Please, Ling, come on. It's our only chance. We've got to keep going until the storm's over.
No, we stop. Ling, move no further.
Why do you look at me like that?
Who you are?
I've told you, Ling. I'm a good spirit sent by your ancestors.
No, you are evil spirit. You are devil woman. You think to trick Ling going with you?
Oh, no.
Listen.
No.
Listen. Round a scream voice of 1,000 demons. You hear?
Oh, that's the wind.
No, demons. You bring them.
Ling, listen. You must try to remember. Hoffman. Walter Hoffman. He struck you over the head with his gun. Remember, Ling?
No, you are devil.
Hoffman struck you and threw you out of the car. Remember? Then he forced me out of the car and drove off, leaving us alone. Don't you remember, Ling? Ling,
fight evil spirit.
Oh, no. No, get away.
No, fight evil spirit.
Stay away from me, you madman. You're out of your mind. You're crazy. Stay away.
Ling, fight evil spirit.
Oh, no. No, Ling. Please don't. Please.
Meanwhile, red cloaks streaming in the gale, Superman speeds across the prairie, searching. His X-ray eyes piercing the wall of swirling dust.
That cop was right. Easy to understand what this dust storm would do to a mortal person. I've got a feeling the quicker I get to Lois, the better. If I only knew. Wait. There below me. Something. Down. The automobile burned to a charred and blackened hulk. This must be the car. Great Scott, if Lois was in this car. Better investigate. Well, there's no one here. Whoever was driving couldn't see the ravine because of the sandstorm. The car went over the embankment, caught fire, and... Hello, what's this? What? The teeth. The dragon's teeth. Melted and fused together into one piece by the fire. Well, that's the end of that. I'd better get started again and see if I can't find... Wait a minute. Someone lying over there near those bushes. Why, it's Hoffman. Walter Hoffman. Let's see. Neck broken. Managed to crawl from the car and then collapsed. Why wasn't Lois with him? And Ling? I'd better look into that right now. Up! And away!
Ling, fight she devil.
Please, Ling, you must listen to me. Don't you see? The storm's over now. We must go on. We must get out of this prairie.
She devil try to fight Ling. Now Ling fight you.
Oh, no. No, Ling.
Run. You run, then Ling catch you.
Oh, no, please. Listen to me.
You no run, eh? Then here.
Ling, please. Let go of me.
You no run away. Then Ling use knife on you. Now.
Stop. Put down that knife.
No, Ling kill.
I'm sorry, Miss Lane. That was the only way to stop him.
Superman.
Yes.
Thank heaven. That madman would have taken my life.
Now, there's no time to lose. I've got to get you two out of this prairie before the dust storm kicks up again. This is only a temporary lull.
Wait. Walter Hoffman. He made off in a car with the dragon's teeth and he...
You can forget both Hoffman and the dragon's teeth. Hoffman is dead. The dragon's teeth are gone forever. Once again, a single man's greed has deprived humanity of a means to alleviate much of its suffering. But now, Miss Lane, I'm going to take you and Ling back to Metropolis. There, I've got Ling. If I may put my arm around your waist.
Of course.
There we are. And now, up, and away!
Once again, Superman's curious powers and amazing abilities bring matters to a happy and successful conclusion. What further adventures await Superman in his never-ending battle against crime and injustice? Be sure to hear the next thrilling episode and begin our new adventure with Superman.
And remember, tune in the next thrilling installment of the transcription feature, Superman.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird!
It's a plane! It's Superman!
Superman was in fact portrayed by Bud Collyer, who would later be known as the MC on To Tell the Truth. Also, Joan Alexander, whom you would see on a number of other shows, would portray Lois Lane. Superman, or I should say, you would see her on a number of game shows, and probably one of the best game shows that she was on was one called The Name's the Same. That was hosted by Robert Q. Lewis. The show ran from started off on WOR in 1940, running until 1942. Then it would move to Mutual 3 times a week. And then in 1949, it was a 3 times a week half-hour show. It moved to ABC in 1949 until 1951. 2,088 original episodes of The Adventures of Superman aired on radio. And I have to tell you that hearing these old serials, and realize these shows are pre-World War II. So once you get into the World War II episodes where Superman fights the Nazis, etc., you'll find it interesting. Alrighty, Superman, March 3rd, 1941, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. Miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on the webpage, classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me, find our social media links, and you can buy me a coffee. The Buy Me a Coffee money helps us acquire additional classic radio collections and helps us keep our distribution channels up and running. That's at classicradio.stream. Also visit Jay Lichtenauer and find out about his programs at radio.macandmind.com. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.